13 years ago, a person or group known as Satoshi Nakamoto published a paper detailing a new software system known as Bitcoin.
Who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
Who is Satoshi Nakamoto?
Who is Satoshi Nakamoto and what did he invent?
Today, Bitcoin is worth more than $1 trillion and has ignited a phenomenon that proponents believe has the potential to rewire the whole global financial network. However, there remains a mystery at the heart of Bitcoin. What is the real identity of Satoshi Nakamoto?
I just believe that somebody put that fictitious name in there. Satoshi Nakamoto and Bitcoin, or Bitcoin.
Satoshi Nakamoto's brief public existence. Satoshi Nakamoto released a 9-page document to a group of cryptographers on October 31, 2008, detailing a new kind of electronic cash named Bitcoin. Nobody cared about Nakamoto's identity at the moment. The majority of those in that group were suspicious of the Bitcoin concept itself. For more than a decade, cryptographers and developers such as Hal Finney, Nick Szabo, David Chaum, and Wei Dai had been attempting to create an electronic counterpart of cash. They had all failed for various reasons.
We know is that this is a anonymous fellow who has shown himself to us only over the internet, just by first publishing the white paper for Bitcoin, then releasing the original source code for Bitcoin, and then talking to the very early Bitcoin community on Bitcoin forums, and if interacting with them and helping the project along for a couple of years. And then at some point in late 2010 to early 2011, he disappeared.
Nakamoto launched the Bitcoin network on January 9, 2009. Mr. Finney was one of the few who was fascinated by it, and the two collaborated remotely in the early weeks to get the network up and running. The first Bitcoin transaction was made between Nakamoto and Mr. Finney. Nakamoto wrote on message boards and privately exchanged emails with engineers for roughly 2 years, while Bitcoin slowly grew. Nakamoto stopped openly publishing in December 2010, and he stopped communicating with developers in 2011. Gavin Anderson, a software developer, took over as project leader after Nakamoto stepped down.
Let me give you some clues. In Satoshi's white paper, every word that has dual spellings for American and British English is British.
It's all British, yeah.
It's all British. Every sentence is followed by 2 spaces. Now that's a minority choice in most papers, but 2 spaces. Now, there are only 2 of the accused who were British, and only one of those has 2 spaces in every one of his papers. Figure it out, people. It'll take you 15 minutes.
Is there any information about Nakamoto as a person? No, not at all. Nakamoto never mentioned anything personal in his public mails, or even in private ones that were eventually disclosed. Nothing biographical, nothing about the weather, nothing about what's going on in the neighborhood. Everything revolved around Bitcoin and its code. Nakamoto used 2 email addresses as well as 1 web page. The identity of the individual who registered them has been obliterated. There is no further publicly available information. In an age when it is difficult to remain anonymous, Nakamoto remains a phantom. There are around 1 million bitcoins that were mined in the first year of Bitcoin's existence, but have never been moved. Those bitcoins are now valued around $55 billion. According to the Forbes real-time billionaires list, this would place Nakamoto in the top 30 richest people in the world. It is assumed that Nakamoto and alone Nakamoto controls those 1 million bitcoins. To relocate them, the private key, a long, unique string of letters and numbers that governs access, must be present. The guy who is transporting them has a good claim to be Nakamoto. So how come they haven't been sold? The Bitcoin community assumed that Nakamoto remained nameless in the early years and left those bitcoins alone, primarily out of fear. It didn't seem out of the question that the creator of Bitcoin could be arrested. However, in recent years, most governments, with the notable exception of China, have accepted Bitcoin to varied degrees. It's been a decade since Nakamoto vanished. It is possible that the founder of Bitcoin died without passing on the private keys to anyone else. It is also plausible that Nakamoto misplaced the keys and is unable to relocate the Bitcoin. But someone has to be Nakamoto, right? Yes, and over the years, nearly everybody who conducted work that was even somewhat comparable to Bitcoin, including Mr. Finney, who died in 2014, and Mr. Anderson, has been identified as Nakamoto. All have denied it, and there has been no evidence to the contrary. A group of students and researchers at Aston University in Birmingham, England, conducted a linguistics analysis in 2014 and determined that Mr. Sabo was most likely Nakamoto. Others have also alleged that he is Nakamoto. Mr. Sabo has refuted the assertion.
The main reason I'm here is to clear my name that I have nothing to do with Bitcoin, nothing to do with developing. I was just an engineer doing something else. And if you look at the time span, 2001, when it was supposed to be developed, I wasn't there. I was working for the government through a contracting company.
Craig Wright, who is he? Mr. Wright is an Australian programmer based in London who claimed to be Nakamoto in 2016. In the Bitcoin community, his statements were promptly examined and dismissed. He promised to move some of the early Bitcoins to prove he was Nakamoto. He hasn't done so as of yet. Mr. Wright has attempted to pursue his claim in recent years. He has filed for patents on Bitcoin software, despite the fact that it was distributed as an open source project, and he has sued a podcast host for defamation after he openly criticized his claim.
2008 was, so the white paper was the first. Do you know if the white paper was the first time the name would actually appear, Satoshi Nakamoto?
I believe so.
So how is it possible that the creator of such a impactful project remains anonymous?
That's a tough question.
Is it possible that the Florida case revealed Nakamoto's identity? The family of a deceased coworker called Dave Clayman filed a lawsuit against Mr. Wright. According to the lawsuit, Messrs. Wright and Clayman created Bitcoin as part of a business partnership, and Mr. Wright owed Mr. Clayman's family half of those 1 million Bitcoins. The jury, however, found no proof that the two collaborated on the creation of Bitcoin. If they had, Mr. Wright could have been forced to sell part of those Bitcoins in order to pay any monetary awards. So, while there will be no legal pressure, most individuals in the Bitcoin industry will continue to disregard Mr. Wright's assertions unless he can show possession of the Nakamoto Bitcoins. Nobody will be regarded as Bitcoin's genuine originator until those Bitcoins are moved. Or you got this far.
Yes.
He is the one.
Thank you for watching. Please like the video, it helps with the YouTube algorithm, and comment which business, investing or money myth you want us to smash. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video.